Her Jeep rang. She had 911 on the phone while she did it, and the dispatcher told her flat out, "Stop following him, go back to the crash site, let us handle it." But Payne wasn't interested in that. She told the dispatcher, "He is drunk. I'm not. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stop following him because he is going to cause an accident." And she kept driving. She caught up to him about a mile from the original crash at the intersection of Riverdale Road and Forest Parkway, and she pulled her Jeep directly in front of his truck and blocked him in. Then she got out. She was carrying a 9mm semi-automatic handgun on her hip, and she walked straight up to his driver's side window. People nearby who saw this happen said it was aggressive from the moment she got out of that car. One witness said she thought it was road rage at first. Another said she kept hoping Payne wouldn't shoot him. What happened at that window, by every account that wasn't Hannah Payne's, was not a confrontation. It was an attack. Payne was yelling at Herring to get out of the truck, cursing at him, hitting him through the window with her left hand while the gun was in her right. She screamed at him, "Get out of the car! Get out of the effing car! I'm going to shoot you!" And then she did. She shot Kenneth Herring in the abdomen as he sat in the driver's seat of his own truck. He never got out of the vehicle. He never pulled a weapon. He was 62 years old and he had nothing on him. Police arrived at 6:20 that evening and found Herring still sitting in his truck, bleeding from the gunshot wound. They rushed him to the hospital, but he was pronounced dead less than an hour later. And when they tested his blood, there were no drugs, no alcohol, nothing. He wasn't drunk. He was sick, and he was trying to get somewhere. But instead, he died in the front seat of his pickup truck. When Payne spoke to the 911 operator after the shot, she said that Herring had shot himself with her own gun. But a bystander had recorded the whole thing on his phone. The video showed her hand going into the window with the weapon. Witnesses told investigators she changed out of her bloody shirt before police arrived. The story she was telling didn't match anything anyone else saw. She wasn't charged and tried until December 2023, more than 4 years after Herring's death. Over 5 days of testimony, the jury heard the 911 audio, watched the bystander video, and listened to the eyewitnesses. Payne took the stand herself and said she was just trying to help the police, that Herring grabbed her, that she never meant to pull the trigger. The jury took 2 hours to reject every word of it. They found her guilty on all 8 counts: malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and 3 counts of weapons possession during a felony. On December 15, 2023, Judge Jewel C. Scott sentenced Hannah Payne to life in prison with the possibility of parole for the malice murder charge, plus 8 consecutive years for false imprisonment and another 5 years for the weapons charge. District Attorney Tasha Mosley made one thing clear after sentencing: that even with the possibility of parole on the table, Payne won't be eligible for at least 43 years. She was 21 when she killed Kenneth Herring. She'll be in her mid-60s before she even gets a hearing. Herring's sister, Vicki Lynn, stood in that courtroom and said there would be no more Christmases, no more birthdays, no more family gatherings, and that his grandchildren would grow up never knowing who he was. His brother Keith said that from the moment deputies knocked on his door to tell him, his life was never the same again. They waited 4 years for that verdict, and even when it came, it couldn't give them back what they lost. Although this one wasn't necessarily over an argument, it's worth being on this list because the decision to act that way, the refusal of the dispatcher's instruction, and the murder completely makes no sense, and I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. However, would you ever imagine that of all things a man would kill for, it'd be for walking a pet? The next man had been targeting the victim for a while, and used a petty argument they had over 2 puppies to kill him. Stanley Nathaniel Elliott. Most people who walk their dogs don't think twice about it. You clip on the leash, maybe grab a bag, and step outside. It is one of the most ordinary things a person can do. For Anthony Collins, it was just a Thursday afternoon on Riverside Parkway in Lawrenceville, Georgia. He had his 2 Jack Russell puppies with him, but he was shot and killed before he ever made it back home. The trouble didn't start on February 25, 2021. It started months earlier, in December of 2020, when Collins was out in the neighborhood walking those same Elliot came at the dogs with a metal
Digital
rod.
heart friend.
Witnesses testified that Elliot swung at the puppies with it, trying to beat them. Elliot wasn't a stranger to carrying that rod. He'd been known to use it to fend off stray dogs in the area. But Collins's Jack Russells weren't strays. They were his pets. And Elliot went after them anyway. That confrontation didn't end in violence. It ended with two neighbors who now had a problem with each other. Whatever was said between them that December, it didn't get resolved. It sat there. On the afternoon of February 25th, 2021, Collins was out walking his Jack Russell puppies when Elliot approached him, this time with a gun. Police were called to Riverside Parkway near McKendree Elementary School, where they found Anthony Collins dead. He was found lying near his car with a gunshot wound. He was 44 years old. Gwinnett County Police put out a description of a person of interest. A man with a skinny build, approximately 5 foot 10 inches, known to walk the area carrying a pole,